This is day 19 of the Weight of the Badge. So tonight I'm going to call this Through the Eyes of a Child. And I'm calling it that because there comes a point, and I don't know what time that is in our lives, where we lose our view of the world that we had as children. You know, if you have kids, if you've been around kids, you know that they look at the world through different eyes than we do as adults. They don't have any bias. There's no hatred. They just want to make friends. They want to be nice. They want to be good to each other. And they want to help one another. It doesn't matter the color of the person's skin. It doesn't matter if there's a disability. None of that stuff. It doesn't matter if they're rich, they're poor. It doesn't matter. But at some point, we end up losing that view when we become adults. I don't know what point that is, but we lose it. And the environments that we grew up around, the role models that we have, the lessons that we've learned start to mold us into what we are now. And I remember as a small child, probably 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there. I guess that's what you would call small. That's what it is to me. I remember seeing people in my family, the elders of the family, some of them, the men, just I didn't know what racism was. I didn't know what hatred was at that age. I was playing with action figures and watching cartoons and things like that, but we would always have these family get-togethers, and I always remembered that I hung out with my mom and my dad, my grandmother, mostly the women of the family. Because some of the older men, the stuff that they would talk about, the jokes, while I didn't know what hatred and racism and things like that were at that age, I knew I didn't like it. And I remember that sticking with me for the longest time. Even to today, I can remember back to being at those things and not liking them and not liking the stuff that people were saying. As I got older, still did not like it. I remember going on a date when I was in high school and going out to this restaurant, and me and this beautiful young lady sitting there having dinner, and everybody staring at us because we're a mixed race couple. And I remember being very angry. And I've always, it's always bothered me to see somebody think that they're better than somebody because they're rich or they have something else somebody doesn't. They've got a better job than somebody does because of the race that they are, the sex that they are, whatever the differences were. I've never understood that. And I don't pretend to understand anybody's journey. I understand mine, and that's, I have similar experiences to other people, but good Lord knows I don't know anything about your shoes. I haven't walked in them, haven't put them on. I don't know anything about you other than what I hear from your journey. I know to me what feels right and what feels wrong, what I like and what I don't like. And when I became an officer, and to this day, 22 years later, that badge means something to me. That badge means not that I'm better than anybody else. It means that I'm supposed to understand right from wrong. I'm supposed to understand what the law is. I'm supposed to enforce the law. I'm supposed to speak for those that can't speak for themselves. I'm supposed to defend those that can't defend themselves. I'm supposed to serve my community and my country. And the day my badge was pinned on was one of the proudest moments of my life. And every day that I put that uniform on is a proud moment. And I don't know the exact stats. But the last time that I looked at anything, and this was a few years back, but it was less than 1% of the law enforcement field, career, whatever you want to call it, less than 1% were the ones that dishonored their badge. And I don't understand it. We see in the news, and we see the very highest wrongs that you can do to another human being. But just even stealing, treating people, harassing people, the list is too many but you know what I'm talking about. When you abuse that power, when you think because you have that badge that you're better than anybody else, when you think because you have that badge it gives you the ability to do whatever you want to do, that disturbs me. I have never understood it. I to this day don't understand it. To me, if you're going into the field as a first responder or into the military, you're doing it because something in you has called you to service. And I think majority of our fields, that is true for the people that put those uniforms on. And then we have those that it's not true for. And the actions by one or by a group tarnish that badge or that uniform for the rest of us. Because of their actions, because of their hatred, because of their biases, their greed, power, whatever it may be, whatever it is that they've done. And I don't, I don't think it matters how I word this or what I say. It's going to piss people off on one side or the other. Probably on both sides. Like I said, I won't plan You know, I'm not going to act like I understand anybody's journey, because I don't. I understand mine. Majority of these videos I've done have been in relationship distress and suicide. And while I have sat at that point of pulling that trigger back, I don't understand the next man or woman that has been in that same exact situation. I don't understand their journey. Those that have lost their battle, I don't understand their journey. I understand the suffering part of it. I can get the sum of it because I've been there. But this whole, when you have somebody or people in our field that tarnish that badge, and to the point where an individual loses their life, but for me, even something that's not even remotely near that level, it boggles my mind, because I don't understand where you go from the point that you want to become an officer or a first responder to the point where you get to that. And granted, there's people that slip through the cracks, and there's bad people that get into our field and into every field, but our field is magnified because we have that badge and we have that authority, and it's our job to uphold the law and uphold the Constitution, but more importantly, it's our job to defend those that can't defend themselves. It's our job to hold ourselves to a higher standard. It's our job to know right from wrong and to hold ourselves above where everybody else is at, to be role models. I remember as a kid in elementary school when I got to be a safety patrol, and I'm sure that many people in our first responders and military got to be safety patrols. For me, it was a big, huge honor to put that ugly orange belt on. But the biggest thing for me that it's always stuck with me is when the officers would drive by in the morning and slow their cruisers down and salute you. And you'd salute them back, and you were proud. From hanging around friends of the family that were officers. And just seeing these larger-than-life men and women that just, you'd be in awe of them, with the gear, with the car, with the fact that they were supposed to be like real-life superheroes, like they helped people. And when you look at the world through the eyes of a child, I've been blessed to be able to watch my kids and to see this when they go into school, and it's just, they just want to be friends. You see them now because they can't go to class, and they get on these Zoom meetings, and the excitement to be able to see their buddies. Like, where do we lose that? not just in our field, across the lines. Where do we lose that? And we sit on both sides of this. As I said before, social media is the greatest thing in the world, and it's the worst thing in the world. And with the incidents up in Minneapolis, people are digging their feet in the sand, and on both sides of the fence. There's an issue. There's an issue that we need to figure out how to fix it. And the only way we're going to do that is to listen, to sit down, both groups, with law enforcement, with the community, and listen. Not argue back and forth with the same arguments that come up over and over and over again. We need to build the bridges that have been burned down. We need to be able to understand that we are not better than anybody else, that we're not perfect. We're far from it. But 99% of this field, they put that uniform on and they put that badge on, and they want to go out and they want to help people. And they want to do their job, and they want to serve their community. But we need to listen to what our community is saying to us. And we need the members of the community to listen to us as well. Not because we're right, but because when you're arguing back and forth, there's not going to be a winner. There needs to be constructiveness. There needs to be dialogue. And until we're able to get that, until we're able to all sit down and listen, and truly listen to concerns from both sides, to learn from one another and to grow and become better, we're not going to get anywhere. When you look at the world through the eyes of a child, they listen. They see when people are hurting. They see when people are bad and when people are good. They know evil. They know hate. They may not know the words, but they know they don't like it. And that's not right. And I can't pretend to act like I understand your journey or anybody else's journey that's out there listening to this. None of us can. Anytime that you put one group all together and say this group is this or this group is that, it's ignorant. And you're not listening, and you're not open, and you're not trying to learn. And it's not just about grouping people by race or by sex or gender or whatever. It's any argument. Everybody is not the same. We don't know each other's journey. And until we stop, get over ourselves, and listen, and we find that place of respect for one another, to listen and humble ourselves to realize that we're no better than anybody else. The richest man is no better than the poorest man. It's just a different journey. One road went one way and one road went the other. A path that either one of us could have taken, with one little turn in the opposite direction. Just take some time and try to look at the world through the eyes of a child. You will see the state that we're in, and it's not pretty. We need to remember that at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And just like children, we need to be kind to one another. We need to reach out to one another. We need to listen. And when we have issues with one another, while it may be impossible to get over them, we need to be able to set them aside for however long it takes us to sit down at that table. And come up with solutions together that are good for everybody, not for one side or the other, but for everybody. Well, 99% get up every day and go out to do their job, and they do it good. It only takes one or a few more to take part in a heinous act or to stand by and watch. Because that's part of our job too. When we see one of us stepping out of line, it's our job to correct that. It's our job to look at them no differently than any other person on this planet. And when we don't, we not only fail that person, we fail as people, and we fail our badge and that oath that we all so proudly took at the beginning of our career. Nobody comes into this career and breaks the rules and commits crimes, harassing people, any of that stuff. Guarantee you, whenever you go back and look at an individual's personnel file, there was other issues before. And when we don't correct them, and when we don't determine that maybe somebody is not fit to do this job, we have failed. And it's not just in our field, it's in every job you can think of. We need to call people out when they're wrong. And we need to reward people when they do good. When you see these videos that get posted on social media with, a kid that cut the grass for an older person, or, this man jumped in and saved these people that were being robbed, or whatever it is. And, I watch them and I feel great. I'm like, man, this is awesome. But we shouldn't. They're great heroic deeds, yes. But you would like to think that any human being seeing somebody in need would help the person. But unfortunately, not the case. And it goes back to that moment in time where we lose our worldview through the eyes of a child. To everyone out there tonight wearing a uniform, be safe, take care of yourself. Brothers and sisters in the military, thank you for what you do. Thank you for giving us the ability to be able to have these conversations, to be able to protest, to be able to speak our mind. There's many, many places we can't do this. And everyone else that's out there that's watching this, I hope that you can take just a few minutes and think back. Regardless of what your opinion is, what side of the fence you're on any argument, on any debate, because there's so many of them on social media. Just pick a day and it's something new. Whatever it is. I just pray that we're all able to stop for a few minutes each day and be thankful for what we have, and to have the strength and the courage and the wisdom to stop and listen. To reach out to somebody that you don't know. To interact with people that you normally wouldn't interact with for whatever reason. And instead of getting in that argument in your chat room or your social media page. Ask questions. Ask about their journey. Ask why they have the opinion that they do. Start a discussion. And it may be uncomfortable, but that's part of life. What I can guarantee you is when you do that and both parties take that time, only good can come out of that. You're not going to change each other's views, but you may be able to come to a point where you respect each other's views and you listen to why that individual feels the way that they do. And you try to learn and understand it. That's what I pray for. I hope that we're given the wisdom and the strength and the courage to be able to do that. Find a place of respect and a place where we can learn from one another. Not to agree on everything, but to understand why somebody has the opinion that they do. What brought them to that point? That's what I hope for. With that said, I will see you tomorrow night.